from the bottom of the ladder all the way to the top, from a volunteer to the Commissioner of the Fire Rescue New South Wales. Today, the Australian Education Times is delighted to have the opportunity to speak with the man who has led the journey. I am Jaya.
I am Sienna. I am Scar.
From your news crew. Here today to interview Greg Mullins, the Commissioner of the Fire Rescue New South Wales. Commissioner Mullins is the first man in history of the Fire and Rescue New South Wales to be appointed as both Chief Fire Officer and CEO, and you have come from the ranks.
Let's welcome Commissioner Mullins and discover more about his journey to success. Tell us about your journey from school to Commissioner.
Well, thank you for coming along today. Look, when I started at school, so I grew up in Sydney's northern suburbs at Terry Hills, and I went to primary school there and then Forest High at French's Forest. And I knew pretty early that I wanted to be a firefighter because my dad was a volunteer firefighter, and my first big fire was when I was 12 years old. So and from that day, I basically knew I was hooked. I thought, this is really exciting, you're helping the community, but I knew that I had to study hard and work hard, or I'd never be able to get into the fire brigade. So.
You rose through the ranks to become a commissioner. How was your experience?
Well, it was very interesting because when I joined, I just wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to go into burning buildings, go to bushfires and help people at car accidents. And as I rose through the ranks, I realised that I could make lots of good changes for the community, for the firefighters, to keep them safe. And the higher I went, I learnt more about management and my job changed. So it wasn't all about firefighting anymore. But I've loved every minute of it. It's really rewarding because you're helping people in the community.
What is a typical day like for you?
Well, the interesting thing about my job is there's no typical day. So I can come to work and think, well, today I've got to deal with a budget, I have to talk to the union about pay rises or human resource issues or planning for the future for new fire stations. And then there might be a massive bushfire or a factory fire, and then I have to go out and take command and work with the incident management teams. A lot of community work, so working in fire safety, so lots of different stuff, so it's very, very interesting.
When faced with a challenge, how do you conquer it?
Well, there's lots of challenges in any big job. It doesn't matter what organisation it is, and ours is a little bit different because when someone's got a huge problem, like their house might be on fire, they call us, and we have to go and solve their problem as well as ours. So one of the things is being very positive and having that attitude of no matter what comes your way, you will be able to sort it out. And also working as a team. If I don't know how to sort it out, somebody else in the team surely will. So we work very closely together. And not just with firefighters, with police officers, ambulance officers, and emergency service volunteers.
What is the hardest thing about your job?
The hardest thing about my job, now that's a really good question, and when I think about that, the worst part of my job over the years has been when a firefighter has been killed or injured in a fire, because we're like family, and we've got about 7,000 firefighters in Fire and Rescue New South Wales, and there's not many of them that I don't know personally, that I haven't met. And on the few occasions where somebody's gone into a burning building and been killed, I've found that very, very difficult. And look, the other thing is today, all government organisations have to do more with less money, so that can be very hard.
What is it like being a commissioner with so many awards?
Well, I didn't expect to be commissioner when I joined to be a firefighter. I thought I'd be on these red trucks all my life, and now a lot of my time's spent in an office or out there talking to politicians or heads of other agencies or internationally. It's very rewarding because I know, or I try and make sure that everything I do helps the men and women who are on those trucks out there helping the community. So it's a fantastic job. I love it.
What do you think it takes to be a leader?
Now that's a fantastic question too. It takes lots of things to be a leader, but to be a good leader, I think you have to look after your people. You have to be very honest. You have to respect people, treat them well and listen to them. And you also have to make decisions. You can't just leave things and not make hard decisions, but the main thing is leaders are supposed to lead people, so you have to treat them well.
Who or what has inspired you the greatest?
Now that is actually a very easy question for me, because the men and women on the fire trucks, the firefighters, they inspire me every day. Just before you got here, this truck and the other truck were out at a unit fire just up the road. They put it out very quickly, no one was injured, and I know that every single firefighter is prepared to put their own lives on the line to save somebody who they've never met, and I just think they're fantastic.
How do you prepare and manage your team when faced with an emergency?
Well, that's an interesting question, because the sorts of emergencies we have, they can range from a cat stuck up in a tree to yesterday the Japanese Prime Minister in Parliament paid tribute to this organisation because we sent 52 rescuers to Japan in 2011 after the tsunami. And that's very, very complex, but what we do is lots of training, lots of education, and we have people with tons of experience. And the best thing that someone like me can do is get out of the way when there's something big happening and let them do what they're good at and just watch. And if I see something little that needs fixing, just gently fix it up, but don't interfere, because they know what they're doing.
What would you say is the biggest achievement of your career?
Well, what a fantastic question, and that's a hard one for anyone to answer, I think, when they look at themselves and think, oh, what have I done? Because I don't often think of it like that. It's a team, and I think one of the things I'm really proud of is all of the emergency services in New South Wales are a team. Police, ambulance, rural fire service, state emergency service, fire and rescue. We work as a big team, even though our badges are different. And I'd like to think that I had a bit to do with that, with joining everybody up so that we're all working towards the same objectives.
What advice would you give to a young leader interested in having a career in the emergency services?
My advice to anyone who'd want to do that is stick to your dreams and just work very, very hard, study a lot. I had to study hard at school, do my high school certificate, I had to go to university, I had to do lots of fire brigade training, I went overseas and did more education in America and some in England. So it's hard work, don't think that it will come easy, and keep your dream in sight, never give up.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Commissioner Mullins.
It's a great pleasure, thank you.
I'm sure our readers and listeners would be very much inspired and motivated by your journey. We would like to thank you on behalf of the Australian Education Times for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.